It's 11 o'clock. So happy Friday, everybody. And we're back for another Fire Drill Friday. And thank you so much for joining us. I hope that getting together like this virtually makes you feel a little bit less isolated now and more empowered to join together and make our people power felt in this critical time. God, I'm so excited. I've been reading all the names and where people come from in the chat box. And thank you. Thank you so much. And, before we dive in, I want to share a quick and exciting update. Thanks to Giphy, I think I pronounced that right, to Giphy, we now have custom gifts, and that's GIFS, gifts, and stickers for Fire Drill Friday. So be sure to search and use them when you post on social media. We're linking to them here so you can find them easily, okay? And this week we're experimenting with a different format, and we have some very special guests. Senator Elizabeth Warren, it turns out, is going to be in session right now. We were hoping that she could join us live, but she has been called into session. So instead, she's sharing a message with us about how we can all make an impact from home and why we need to lobby our members of Congress and demand they do right by workers and the climate when they pass this next stimulus package. And Lily Tomlin is joining live in a few minutes. It's going to help show you how to make calls to your representatives. And we have Annie Leonard, Executive Director of Greenpeace USA, on the line to help us understand the context in which we're all going to call our members of Congress. Today, we're hoping that we're going to drive thousands or even tens of thousands of calls to our members of Congress about the next COVID-19 stimulus package. We've been told that it's going to drop next Monday, which I think is May 11th. And we're going to be told how we can ensure workers' rights are centered in this massive injection of money into our economy. And so, let's start off hearing from one of the architects of the Essential Workers Bill of Rights, together with Congressman Ro Khanna. Please welcome Elizabeth Warren, Senator Elizabeth Warren.
Hi, Jane. I am so sorry that I couldn't join you live today, but I wanted to drop by and share one of the ways that we're fighting to protect essential workers during a time of crisis. Everyday essential workers, from nurses to grocery store employees to farm workers, are risking their lives to keep life as we know it moving forward. Now, many essential workers and their families were already struggling to make ends meet before this pandemic hit. And today, far too many are forced to continue working in high-risk conditions, a harsh reality that is made even worse for essential workers of color. Workers on the front line of this crisis, who are more likely to be women and especially women of color, deserve our respect and our gratitude. But saying thank you is just not enough. Essential workers are fighting for us, and it's time that we fight for them. So Congressman Ro Khanna and I are proposing an Essential Workers Bill of Rights. It's a set of 10 rights and protections that Congress can guarantee for essential workers during this time of crisis and beyond. Healthcare, protective equipment, family and medical leave, childcare, worker protections. We can make sure that the Essential Workers Bill of Rights is Congress's priority in the next stimulus package. But to do that, we need your help. Let Congress know that this matters to you. Add your name to our petition, and we will be in this fight together. House Democrats are in the fight. Senate Democrats are in the fight. We need you with us. So please, go to elizabethwarren.com and get involved. The Essential Workers Bill of Rights is just the first step in a recovery to build a stronger, more resilient, more just economy. We have a long road ahead of us, but I am confident that if we stand together, if we fight together, if we persist together, we will make it through this time of crisis. So please stay safe, and thanks for being part of this.
God, I love that woman so much. Annie, I want to welcome you now. You're going to join us. You're on.
Very happy to be here.
Oh my God, I love her. You know, the senator used the word resilient. I know that you noticed that too. It's a key word. Annie and I talk a lot about resilience. You know, this is a terrible crisis that we're facing right now that's affecting millions of people in terrible ways. And they need to be resilient for this crisis, but also they need to be resilient for the climate crisis, which is bearing down on us at the same time. And we're suddenly recognizing that the people that are being hit the hardest by COVID are essential workers. They pick our food, they package our food, they look after our children or our elderly parents so that we can get on with our lives. They clean up things so diseases don't run rampant. They deliver mail, they care for the sick. We're realizing that without them, our lives would become impossible, right? You know, for life to move smoothly for us, those workers need to feel safe and respected. And that has to be demonstrated in the way they're paid and the kind of benefits that they get. This is what allows them to be resilient, which in turn allows their families and communities to be more resilient. And resilience, Annie and I talk about this all the time, resilience is going to be a really critical thing as the other crisis becomes more acute, the climate crisis, which is going to bring, we got to face it, the climate crisis is going to bring even more economic turmoil and health pandemics with us. Everything that we do right now to help essential workers get stronger is going to put us in a better position, a stronger position to tackle the climate crisis. People can't be resilient when they have no savings, when they have no breathing room. The climate crisis needs unions and strong workers, just like the pandemic does. And this means that when the pandemic has passed, that we absolutely must not return to normal. Think about that. Normal is bleak. It's a very dark, bleak place for way too many of us. But, you know, the thing to understand is that there's a way to address this crisis so that when it's over, things are going to be fairer and safer and more resilient. You know, Annie, the more I think about it, the more I really feel that making sure the Essential Workers Bill of Rights is included in the next stimulus package is really laying the groundwork for a movement that's powerful enough and resilient enough to get us through this pandemic and to successfully face the climate crisis. What do you think?
I absolutely agree, Jane, which is why I'm so thrilled that we're putting Federal Fridays on this topic. It could not be more true. This could not be more essential or more timely. It is true that COVID has created hardship and horrors for many, many people. But it's also true that it's created openings that we can enter and seize to build a better future. For years, for decades even, activists have been asking elected leaders for these basic things to make our economy more fair, more resilient, more healthy. We've asked for accessible health care, for workers' rights, for investments in a just transition to a clean, renewable energy economy. These things are so obviously needed, but it's often hard to even get these issues on the table for discussion. And when we do get them on the table for discussion, too often we hear the same refrain, which is, there's no money for that. We can't afford that. It's too expensive. We hear that over and over. But right now, we have this amazing opportunity because in these COVID stimulus relief packages, all these things are being discussed. It's incredible. It's a massive opportunity for all of us to push for the programs and policies that will make our country better. But it won't happen unless all of us throw down. We have to join together to turn these conversations into real solutions. And this is the incredible opportunity we have right now to do that. Now, Senator Warren just told us about the Essential Workers Bill of Rights. This is great that her and her colleagues are pushing this, but as she said, she needs our help. They can't do it alone. Now, we can't get out and protest together like Fire Drill Fridays did last fall in Washington, D.C., which was so wonderful to be together. But just because we're at home doesn't mean we can't still have an impact in Washington, D.C. Every day right now, members of Congress are making decisions about which direction to take our country, about what kind of future to create. This is the opening that we have been longing for, and we must seize it. These huge investments in the COVID relief packages can either prop up the industry that have long put both workers and the planet in harm's way, or they can be a down payment on a better future for all. So as Senator Warren said, this is the first step to build a stronger, more resilient, more just economy. Protecting essential workers and making our economy more fair and resilient, as Jane just said, it's going to help us get through COVID, but it's also going to leave us in a better place as we take on the next even bigger crisis, is the climate crisis. So I'm asking everybody who's joined today, and I see thousands of people are here from all over, please join Jane and Lily and Greenpeace and me and so many others to make sure our voices get heard. Call your members of Congress and demand that they stand up for people on the planet. Remember, they work for us. If you've never called a member of Congress before, don't worry. Jane and Lily are going to show us all how to do it in a few minutes. It's an easy and very important way to register our opinion anytime, but especially now when we're stuck at home, so we can't go see them in person, and when they're making huge decisions with huge impacts. So call often. I have the number programmed in my cell phone, and I call every single morning while I'm making my coffee. Just a quick, don't forget, this is what I want you to do. You work for me. It's really easy once you get in the hang of it. As Senator Warren said, we must stand together, fight together, persist together. That's how we're going to make the changes that our country needs.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sure needs changes. God, you know, I really like to try to get the stories of individual workers. I get them however I can, webinars or reading in the papers, and so they're not just statistics. And I hear stories from workers, and it's hard to believe what people are being asked to do with no security, no respect. I mean, just human decency is just lacking. It's heartbreaking. I know you know these stories too.
Right. We were on some calls together. Jane and I were, these wonderful virtual calls organized by our friends at the Labor Network for Sustainability. And on these calls, they brought together essential workers, union leaders, and climate activists for us to just listen to the stories and hear firsthand what the reality is like and talk about how we can support them. Some of these phone calls that Jane and I were on were transformative and powerful in hearing these stories. Jane, you were sharing some the other day when we were talking. Could you share some of those stories that you heard on these calls with our Fire Drill Fridays community?
Yeah, well, I was on a webinar with Ai-jen Poo, who runs the National Domestic Workers Alliance, and also Ro Khanna and Senator Elizabeth Warren. And so I heard, for example, Sherry Dayton is a registered emergency nurse who works in people's homes. She just is constantly going out of different homes and has to keep wearing the same protective gear over and over again. And besides that, she takes care of her 75-year-old father who has Alzheimer's, and she's just terrified that she's going to bring it home to him. And she said something that really struck me. She said, we're professionals. We're not sacrificial lambs. You know, and I realized what I actually learned back when we were doing 9 to 5, and I was researching women office workers. People want to feel respected. They want to feel that there's some dignity in their work. You know, we're not sacrificial lambs, and that's how they're being made to treat. And then Maggie Zelinska in Chicago, she's a single mother with 2 young children. Before COVID, she worked multiple jobs caring for the elderly in their home, and she did childcare, and she cleans houses. And because of the pandemic, she lost 22 clients. and her earnings went from $800 a month to $250 a week. And so she has to use her credit card. And so she has a $5,000 debt. And the way she talked about the fact that there is no way that workers like her can save up for a rainy day. There's no leeway, not an ounce of leeway. There's no sick days, no vacation, no overtime, no childcare. She has to bring her youngest child to work with her, and she's scared to death, but she has to work. She can't stop. And Courtney Inska, who works at an Amazon warehouse in New Jersey, she says that 100 Amazon warehouses have workers who've tested positive. And as of last week, there were 4 deaths. She said there's no PPE. There's a whole lot of masks and cleaning equipment, but it's locked in a closet that they can't get to. She's lost her father to COVID. Her grandmother is in the hospital fighting COVID. And she said she and her coworkers have to work shoulder to shoulder. It's just the nature of the work. They don't have a choice, but they don't have protective equipment. And then she said this. She said, Jeff Bezos dropped $60 million on an apartment, but here we are totally at risk and denied sick pay leave. And even if we're sick and if we don't show up, we're fired. And then his name was Steve Kelly. He's a janitor and a shop steward with SEIU. He said, this is all a quote now. He said, "We've been essential workers all along, cleaning your floors and your toilets and guarding your warehouses. You never saw us. Suddenly you're noticing how much you need us and we're no longer invisible. I don't want to go back to normal," he said. "Normal means you put me back in the shadows and devalue my work." He says, when this is all over, will you still call us essential? Will you still treat us as essential? He said, "We're working for $8 an hour. What is that? It's 2020 and we're living on 1970 wages. No," he said, "no more normal." God, you saw the video, and he was so upset. It was heartbreaking. And by the way, last week, SEIU-BJ in the Northeast lost 91 workers in one day to COVID. So I just want to say to all of you out there, keep these women and men in your hearts. They're not statistics. They're people just like us who are trying to survive and keep food on the table and pay their rent, and they're having a really hard time. And Annie, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, and thanks everybody else who joined, because those stories are moving. We now have a chance to do something about it.
We do. And I'm going to ask Lily to join me now and try to show you how to help to support these men and women. Because one of the most meaningful ways to have an impact from home is to call your members of Congress and demand support for the Essential Workers Bill of Rights. You know what we're going to do? Together, we're going to flood the lines of our members of Congress with urgent messages. Lily, there you are. You ready? Oh, look hey, you're on mute.
Oh my gosh, that's no good.
She's not quite as hip as I am.
Don't you say it. I'm on now, right?
Yeah, you are. Full blast. Okay, lower the top of your computer so people can see what you're wearing.
Talk about a resilient person. This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
She's
resilient. Thank you for caring about her. We all do. We all wish her, right? We all wish her well.
Yes.
What a name. Well, I appreciate your coming in and joining us for this, Lil. And, I hope you don't mind my calling on you to role model. I figured you've had enough experience as Ernestine to know how to handle the phone. It's so helpful for people to be able to get a feel for what it's like to call their representatives. So I think this is going to be really good. Thank you.
So wait, what you're saying is if they know I can do it, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
I think that's what you mean, isn't it?
Well, the fact is that anybody can do it. Yeah.
So what do you want me to do? Call my member of Congress? Who is my member of Congress?
Lily. Well, listen, actually, we have this nifty tool. You just call 1-877-823-7391. Actually, you can see it in the chat box and also on the Facebook live post. So that's the number, and it's going to prompt you for your zip code and then route you through to your representative.
Oh, good. So I don't actually have to learn who my representative is.
Lily?
What?
Yes, you do. You do, because you have to hold him or her accountable. You know, they work for you, Lily.
This whole time?
Yeah.
I've never even tipped them. Oh, geez, now you tell me. Okay, well,
Listen, wait, look. If they pass a justice-centered stimulus package, we'll tip them by re-electing them, right? You can tell him that.
Okay, well, let's do this.
You have your talking points, right?
You betcha I do.
Yeah, okay. Betcha, you sound like Sarah Palin.
I feel like Sarah Palin.
Well, okay, great. Those of you who signed up to Fire Drill Fridays, you'll get a text from me as soon as this call is done with talking points. So, and you can also find those talking points at www.firedrillfriday.com/workers. And the link, as I said, is in the chat box. So, Lily, you'll probably get a voicemail.
Uh-huh.
And when you do, you can just, it's going to give you answers and just launch in, you know, basically. Just tell them that you're calling about the COVID-19 stimulus package. Tell them it's time for Congress to pass an economic relief package that provides, you know, health care, sick leave, necessary work protections for everybody, and no more unrestricted corporate and fossil fuel handouts. Oh,
Really?
and you know, by the way, you know what? There's bipartisan support for the Essential Workers Bill of Rights. There's 75% support overall and 73% support among Republicans.
Oh, I pray from your lips to the goddess's ears. All right, I can do that. I might change some of the words.
Make it your own. Just go. Are you ready to do this?
Okay, I'm dialing. Hello, Mr. Man.
Lily.
What's my rep's name again? Oh, Brad Sherman. Brad Sherman. Brad Sherman. It's talking to me. Oh, I'm typing in it's asking for my zip code.
Yeah.
I'm typing it
That's
in.
what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, 90210. Just kidding. Okay, I got it. It's telling me it's going to connect me with my rep, Brad Sherman.
Okay, well, now you know it's working. That's what it's supposed to do.
Hello. Oh, man, it sent me right to voicemail. They must know I'm friends with you.
Touche, Tomlin. Okay, now go. You got this.
Hi there. This is Lily Tomlin, and I'm a constituent in your district, and I'm talking about I'm calling about the upcoming stimulus package, the Essential Workers Bill of Rights that you'll be voting on, to ask you not to be a jerk. We need you to support this bill to ensure that workers on the front line get proper health care, paid sick leave, and necessary work protections. I can't believe I even have to ask for this. Aren't these basic human rights? Can we just for once be human beings and stop bailing out the fossil fuel industry and the CEOs? Those are not the people who need help. We give it to the people, not the big corporations. These stimulus packages are the biggest infusion of cash into our economy in modern history, and they will define our country for decades to come. Oh, Brad, this is an opportunity to put on your big boy pants and show true leadership and prioritize people over polluters. How am I doing?
Yeah, good. But Lily, great, talk into the phone.
One way to ensure this is to support the Essential Workers Bill of Rights. Essential workers are putting their lives and their families' lives at risk to ensure our health, safety, and security during the coronavirus. As part of the next relief package, Congress must protect the health and well-being of essential workers and their families and give them the compensation and job protections they deserve. Isn't that the least we can do for them? We ask them to risk their lives to care for all of us. Oh, thank you, Brad. Thank you. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Oh, God, what a rush.
I keep telling you, activism is the antidote.
I feel like Jimmy Stewart. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, you know. Did I do it good?
Oh, you nailed it, honey. You nailed it.
Well, easy for you to say. You are a professional.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Passion beats polish every time.
So you more Frankie, less Grace.
We'll talk about this offline. More of whatever you are, whoever you are. Oh, I love you so much. Thank you, Lily, for doing this. You just nailed it.
I love you, Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda, I'm listening to you every Friday. I wish we could get together and have a real hug instead of a virtual hug.
I know.
Anyway, I love doing that. I'm going to go do it again right now.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Bye, honey.
Bye. Bye. Sign me off, someone. I can't.
Oh, well, everybody, this is where I pass the baton to you. Please pick up your phone. Where's my phone? My phone is someplace. Pick up your phone and dial 1-877-823-7391, and I'll be watching as the calls come in and updating you. And so please pick up your phone and start doing it. I'm going to update you on social media about how many calls we make together, and I'm going to be making my call as soon as we hang up. And like Annie, I have the number programmed right into my phone. If we all do it right now, we can flood the lines into Congress and make our voices heard. So I invite you to join me to do that. Let's shut down those congressional lines. God darn it. Thank you all so much. Stay safe and healthy. I love you all so much. Take care of each other. And remember, even if we're alone, we still have each other. Thank you. See you next time.